But at the same time, Francis, the one fight that I didn't want him to take is against Deontay.
Oh, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
I don't care if it's behind the house, in the backyard. I don't want to see Francis fighting Deontay Wilder nowhere. On the moon, on Mars. I don't care where they at, man.
Okay, y'all, we back with another one. We got a very interesting topic today we want to talk about and hear your opinion on. Is the PFL about to become the new home of mixed rules, mixed martial arts fights? Because we've been hearing the rumors of Jake Paul doing some stuff over there in the PFL. We've heard rumors of now Deontay Wilder, but now his name is being connected to maybe fighting Francis Ngannou in a mixed rules fight. And that fight could happen, basically, because Francis just come off a boxing fight against a former opponent of Deontay Wilder. So this is like a triangle right here where this could actually happen.
And it's in his contract where he has to have a PFL fight. And I don't know whether it has to be an MMA fight or a mixed fight, or if it matters, they just probably want him to fight, or they just want him to be in the cage. I think PFL gonna be the standard for fighting in the future. Because then, like I said, we made a video about this like a month ago, and we were saying, I think it'd be a nice idea for the PFL to have different types of fights on one card. So one fight, you would get boxing matches. The next one, you might get jiu-jitsu. The next one, you might get mixed. Or whatever the fans want to see. Because even in UFC, we see certain fights where you might have two fighters and we might want to see their ground game. Let's see how this goes. Just like Brandon Allen versus Paul Craig.
Yeah.
We want to see the ground game. But then other fights, we don't want to see them on the ground. We want to see them stand up. So I think that's going to be like the new standard for fights.
Because we did mention something like, imagine people like Jeremy Stevens, who instead of having to train everything, hey man, you just gonna stand up with this guy.
For some reason, we expect them people to stand up in front of Jeremy and it never happens. You kind of get your money's worth. You expect them to stand up and they don't, and they fight them a certain way. Whereas if you knew that the fight couldn't hit the ground, then you wouldn't expect nothing boring.
Yes. It basically limits the chances of boring fights, essentially. And I like where the PFL is going with this, but to stay on topic, Francis and Deontay Wilder would be a heck of a fight to make, especially right now, because most people in the world, even people rooting for Tyson Fury, we all saw the same fight. Francis won.
It was, and the fact that it was even close, you really got to give that to Francis. That's really a moral victory for him. That's probably why after the fight, he wasn't really complaining. He was just like, okay, I did good. I'm proud of myself.
Well, a few $1 million in your bank account, I wouldn't be complaining either, but...
But at the same time, Francis, the one fight that I didn't want him to take is against Deontay Wilder.
Oh, let's get into it.
I don't care if it's behind the house, in the backyard. I don't want to see Francis fighting Deontay Wilder nowhere. On the moon, on Mars, I don't care where they at, man. Because I said before the Francis and Tyson Fury fight that he had a decent chance against Tyson. Because Tyson fights kind of lazy. He don't pull the trigger sometimes. But against Deontay, he's so dangerous, man. Even when he knocked Tyson down in the 12th round, and the fact that Deontay only lost to one fighter. And it's only one fighter that he didn't knock out.
There's a lot of controversy surrounding the Tyson Fury win anyway, with certain things that when you really start to dig into it, he may have had to do some things to get those wins over Deontay Wilder, if we just be honest.
Yeah, and it's not that type of video, but it's just, I hate when people kind of just ignore that. That's something that's important that has happened. We can't just pretend like that didn't happen.
And it's reoccurring across multiple opponents to the point that we even saw him win a fight that he shouldn't have won against Francis.
But throwing elbows and stuff, man. But
yeah, how do you defend it?
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think Francis should fight Deontay Wilder. I think it's one of the things where the risk is more than the reward. I think he need to take more favorable matchups. I think he can fight somebody like Dillian White and still make some money.
Hey, put him in there with that guy that Anthony Joshua just knocked out,
Robert Helenius.
Yeah, the Kudalaba of boxing. They always call this guy in when they want somebody to
man, make
get
the
a
money.
quick knockout.
And even if it's not 30 million, bro, even if it's 5 million, even if it's 2 million, okay?
It's a lot more than what you was making in the UFC.
Exactly, 1 million. If that 700,000.
I think it was 600,000 or something like that.
Well, I'm saying don't step in there against Deontay Wilder. I mean, he only lost to one guy. And it's funny how people say Tyson Fury the greatest of all time, but then when we talk about, okay, should Francis fight Deontay, and it's like, okay, he could beat Deontay. No, Deontay only lost to one person who people consider as the greatest of all time. Now people kind of dismiss it when we talking about can they beat Deontay. He only lost to that guy. It's kind of like how George Foreman lost to Ali.
You got to think realistically, can Francis handle that type of punch with those small gloves? Because Deontay Wilder got a video where he was talking about he put on some of those gloves. I think he was at a PFL event several months ago during the summer, and he was just like, man, imagine me hitting somebody with these gloves. Now, I will say, I would have to know what the rules are, because we talking about mixed rules MMA, or mixed rules fight, however you want to call it.
If we talking about mixed rules and kicks, because we've seen Francis throw head kicks before. He don't throw a lot of them. He don't like to throw them. Even on the Joe Rogan podcast I watched a couple of days ago, he said, I don't like to throw kicks. But the thing is, I think he definitely would be throwing head kicks against Deontay Wilder. But another thing I was gonna say is we can't act like Deontay got the best defense.
I know.
Let's be real. He has a high guard. He kind of just steps back. He don't really move his head a lot as much as he should, and he kind of rely on being tall. We can't act like Francis ain't got the power to. If he connect, he might have a chance. We know if Deontay connect, the fight is over. It's one of the things where you don't want to play with fire with Deontay. We seen Deontay hurt. Who was that? Somebody hurt him, and they was winning the fight, and he came in and just knocked them out in the 8th round or 9th round. And it was like, bro, you don't play that game with Deontay. And I think Francis, if he take this fight, it'll be a bad career decision for him. And all of the work he's done up to this point will be for nothing. Because he's been making great career decisions.
No matter how risky they are, they've been working out for him. And it's funny because when we were talking about this before we started recording, you said that this is one of those fights to where if Deontay get that chin, your chin is cracked forever. It'll never ever come back. So now you might go in there and start getting knocked out by people like Tim Johnson or whoever, you know.
Even guys like Luis Ortiz, yes, Deontay knocked him out, but he wasn't really the same when he came back. And the thing is, Francis, do you want to be that guy? Do you want to be that Luis Ortiz guy who you wasn't really the same? Cause I think he got knocked down against Ruiz.
Yeah, but Ruiz do got power. That's a
he
big
got underrated. He got underrated power.
Guy.
Yeah, but I'm saying, Francis, is that what you want your career to be?
But pre-Deontay, I don't think that would have happened.
It definitely would have went 12 rounds before. Ortiz probably would have won decision, maybe. The outcome would have been a little bit different. But it's questions about like.
Did he win decision that one, or did he knock him out? I don't think he knocked him out.
No, he didn't finish him. He kept on knocking him down and hurting him. But that was after getting hurt by Deontay. He really wasn't the same. I don't think Francis should roll the dice against Deontay. But the only problem is, this is the fight that people want to see. Because when you have this fight where you arguably beat the greatest of all time, Tyson Fury, who people say is the greatest of all time, and quite naturally, Deontay Wilder only lost to that one guy, Tyson Fury. Y'all pretty much only lost to the same guy.
And it's both controversial.
This is the fight that makes sense, you know. But the thing is, I think Francis should have had some kind of exit strategy too, man. With boxing, you gotta have a game plan.
Like, don't just keep accepting dangerous fights because something gonna happen.
You take these fights, bro. You fight Ruiz, you fight some of these other guys, Dillian White. Then,
well, that's a winnable fight, Dillian.
Yeah, and then no, I'm saying you take these fights, and then and then you avoid the Deontay Wilder.
Now I want to bring up another name, and this kind of goes into another video we'll make later. But with the PFL doing the mixed rules thing, is it a possibility that we see Anthony Joshua do something like this?